Resmetirom was approved by the FDA on March 14, 2024, and this has been a historic approval for us in the MASLD and MASH community, first and only FDA-approved medication that we have been using in our clinics now for the past 6 months or so with great success. Resmetirom was approved based on the phase 3 MAESTRO-NASH clinical trial that included 966 patients, and it hit on both primary endpoints, MASH resolution and fibrosis improvement by one stage or more. So at the ACG meeting, we are presenting the first glimpse at real-world data utilizing resmetirom in our practice at Arizona Liver Health and also with my collaborator, Dr. Raj Vupalanchi at Indiana University. We shared the baseline characteristics of the first 72 patients that we prescribed resmetirom for in our clinics. And we actually looked at clinical characteristics, but also the non-invasive testing. And in our small cohort of 72 patients, the mean age was 56 years, so middle-aged. We had about 60% women prescribed resmetirom, 41% had type 2 diabetes, and the mean body mass index was 37, indicating very high prevalence of obesity. When we looked at liver stiffness measurements on FibroScan, the was 10.5 kilopascal, consistent with the F2, F3 population. And we also looked at liver enzymes and platelet count and hemoglobin A1C, lipid panels, and pretty much everything was consistent with the results of the MAESTRO-NASH. So I think what we are showing here that, in the real world, we are able to identify appropriate patients to be prescribed resmetirom based on non-invasive testing, without the need for liver biopsy, and that the patient characteristics and the NIT data are very consistent with the MAESTRO-NASH, implicating that we can really replicate the results from the phase 3 program, hopefully in the real world. This is, again, the first glimpse. We continue to collect more data. We expect to present a larger cohort at one of the scientific meetings, and we will also be collecting data prospectively on response to treatment and adverse events. And this way we can now compare the real world to the clinical trial data. This is a high unmet need because in clinical trials, patients have more attention from the physicians. They have their own clinical research coordinators. They do more frequent visits. There is more emphasis on compliance. And sometimes with new medications, the real-world effectiveness is different than the clinical trials. And this is our goal, is to demonstrate that resmetirom was equally as effective in the real world as in the phase 3 clinical trials. So more to come on this, but we are very excited to share the first real-world data on the use of resmetirom in the United States.